Hey guys, I'm here with Cody. He's the executive director from Techstars in the Americas. And man, thank you so much for having the time to talk to us. It's been a pleasure. I'm a Techstars facilitator since Up Global became Techstars, but I love what you guys do. It's such an amazing philosophy to develop startups, to develop economy, and to build companies. So thank you so much for having the time. It's going to be a pleasure to talk to you.
Awesome. It's awesome to be here in Sao Paulo. What a beautiful city. And I've just been blown away by the community here.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to ask you. You've been traveling around the Americas and US and other places. How do you see the community here for startups, for entrepreneurs?
So, I think it's obviously an emerging one, but I think one that's growing really fast. I've met a number of different startups this week, and I've been incredibly impressed by the quality of companies and of the level of execution and traction that people are starting to get in their businesses. Still mostly bootstrapped, right? A lot of them are still, haven't raised necessarily a ton of capital, but have figured out how to go find an audience or how to go, validate their product, which is really great. And then on the flip side, we've spent time this week meeting with larger corporations who are thinking about wanting to engage the startup world, which sounds like oil and water almost. But in reality, I think as soon as you get real interest like that from companies that have deep pockets and really strong interests in a given industry in what's going on in a startup community, it means that community is building enough traction that that people are taking notice, and that's a good thing. Eventually, because it brings more resources and more money into the startup community.
And this is also about survival, because if big corporations don't accept the change, the agility that we as startups have, they're going to be dead, right? So
it's interesting that our head of Brazil, Tony Celestino, yesterday I showed a presentation where he showed that in the 1950s and 1960s, the average lifespan of a Fortune 500 company was 60 years. Today, the average lifespan is around 20 years.
Wow.
That's just over the course of the last 5 or 6 decades that amount of turmoil and change has started to happen in the world's largest corporations, which is incredible to think about. And if you think about where we're going to be in 10 or 20 years from now, it's harder than ever to stay on top. That's because there's constant disruption and constant change, really, I think, from a technology and software-led revolution. I personally think we are in the middle, or about 10 years into the next industrial revolution, but it's a software revolution.
Exactly. Connection.
It is. It's all about a connected planet, connected to computers, connected to each other.
IoT,
all
cloud,
of that.
Everything.
And it's completely disrupting how businesses are built and how business cultures are built, which in turn is creating a new class of great companies. And I think it creates. It's faster to succeed. It's also faster to fail. So together, we see a lot of transition and a lot of change.
You as an investor, Techstars and stuff, how do you see investing in Brazil specifically? Because our audience here is from Brazil.
Yeah.
What's your point of view on that?
Yeah, so I think again, Brazil is definitely a growing startup environment. I think it's an environment that I think we should be starting to test some investments in and see how they do. What I'm really excited to start to see happen, and I think it'll happen over the next probably year or two, is your first crop of kind of really interesting startups will start to have exits, and then those entrepreneurs will start investing back in the ecosystem. And when that happens, that's when you see real acceleration, because all of a sudden the people investing in the ecosystem are investors who know what it means to be an entrepreneur, and they know how to invest in the right founders, and they also know how to properly support the founders they've invested in. We're really excited to come and spend more time in Brazil. We've been here with Startup Weekend and Startup Programs, but to do so over time at the investment level, and to help that happen, to help support founders who can get to the next level and then ultimately give back to their own communities.
What would you say would be the first steps for young founders to go the right way in building their companies?
Find mentors.
Mentors.
Yeah, I think the most important thing you can do early on is find mentors who are not doing it for transactional reasons, who aren't wanting equity in your company or this, that, and the other, but are doing it because they want to help, because they believe in what you're trying to do and they want to be supportive. The other important thing I could say is don't be afraid to fail. Like, move as fast as you can and
Move
try.
fast and break things.
Yeah, try. Like, put something out in front of customers. Don't feel like you have to code everything. Go try to get answers to whatever it is go try to validate your assumptions as fast as possible, with as little amount of effort as possible.
We just have like 5 more minutes, but I have a lot of things to ask you because we need to go to the party, guys. Sorry. But you said about finding mentors, and lots of people will send me emails saying, hey, I want some mentors. How can I do that? How can they find the mentors? What's the right approach to connect with a mentor?
Yeah, I mean, I think participating in community events is helpful. So you go to a startup weekend or that sort of thing. That's what those programs are for. They're there to connect you with like-minded entrepreneurs and mentors and judges and people who want to help you build your idea. I think, to the extent you can afford to or are able to work at a co-working space or something like that, where you're around other entrepreneurs like you. I think engaging with people in online communities and online groups. So being active in Quora, being active on Twitter, not just active for the sake of being active, but jumping in to engage in the conversation
in a meaningful
way where people can help you and you can help them and you exchange ideas. You want to make sure you're not doing that all day long, because as an entrepreneur, you need to actually be building your business. Yeah. But I think having that mindset. Yeah, that mindset and just that presence in the community is going to come back to be helpful to you as well.
Perfect. Just to finish, what would you be the advice that you could give to a young founder, like the best takeaway that you could get for somebody that wants to do the first steps and develop their companies?
Yeah, I think startups are really hard, and you should do something that you should only take the full leap to jump in to do it if you honestly feel like you would go crazy if you didn't do it, right? Don't do a startup just because you think you want to do a startup.
Because it's fun.
Yeah, because it's freaking hard, right? And don't do a startup just because you don't have anything else to do, right? You can always find something else to do. Do a startup because you believe that the world has to have this thing that you want to build. And also, I guess that's 2 pieces of advice. That's one, right? Like, do it because you really want to do it in your heart. 2 is know the difference between a startup and a small business. And both are great. A startup is something that you're trying to build something that you think can scale out rapidly fast to either millions of users or lots of revenue in a very fast amount of time frame, and can actually have global type of scale ambitions. A small business can still be an internet product, it can still be an internet company, but it's something where realistically there's only a certain size to how big it can get. And I see people confuse those 2 concepts
Which
a
is
lot.
fine also.
Totally fine. You can build a really thriving business that maybe only can support 4 or 5 employees, but can generate a lot of cash flow for you and 3 or 4 of your employees, and be a wonderful business for you. But it's probably not what I would call a tech startup, and it's not something you should try to seek angel investment or venture capital for, because it's not going to hit the scale that your investors are expecting in order for them to get a return on their money. Remember that angel investors and venture capitalists aren't investing in your business for goodwill. They're investing because they want to actually not just get their money back, they want to get a massive multiple on their money. And so they're expecting you to grow your business
skyrocket,
massively. Yeah.
Cody, thank you so much.
Yeah.
It was a very good conversation.
Thank you.
I would go like all night long interviewing you, but
problem.
we have the party to go.
Fun.
Beer to drink. So thank you so much.
Awesome.
Guys, check it out. It's techstars.com.
Yeah, Techstars.com.
You can see everything they have there. Go to the startup weekend. You guys know that I talk about startup weekend all the time. I love it. So yeah, thank you again. Thank you guys. See you tomorrow. Every day we have a video here. Every day we have 2 episodes on the podcast. Every day. 365. Wow. See you there.
Awesome. Bye.